A Republican on Capitol Hill admits she's afraid of voicing her dissent for fear of retaliation. How exciting! We've entered the angry stepdad era of our democracy. This is just another day. Every president elected to office enters that role with some thoughts on what their legacy might be, and that includes the current guy.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
Now, whether that was total BS or half BS, half promotional tie-in, no one can say for sure. But what we can definitely say is his legacy is going to need a little bit of work.
We are all afraid. Okay? It's quite a statement. But we are, we're in a time and a place where I don't know, I certainly have not been here before. And I'll tell you, I'm oftentimes very anxious myself about using my voice, because retaliation is real.
That was Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska responding to a question from one of her constituents who asked, "What do you say to people who are afraid right now?" And her response, "I'm afraid too because retaliation is real." You have to let that sink in for a minute. A democratically elected official in the United States of America is afraid to use her voice for fear of retribution from this president and his supporters. Now, there are a few things going on here, all of which are bad. Kind of like hiring a terrible clown for your birthday party and then finding out, under all that makeup, yeah. If Murkowski fears for her safety due to our current political climate, then it is a clear sign that our nation has entered some really dangerous territory. But if the retaliation Murkowski fears is on the political side, well, then it's time to hire a sparring partner because we need you to fight. Trump wants you to be afraid. He wants everyone to be afraid. His strong-arm tactics are meant to intimidate everyone around him to do his bidding. And when it works, he wins. Take Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. Earlier this year, when Pete Hegseth was announced to be Donald Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense, Ernst had some concerns. Sure, there were the affairs, the accusations of financial mismanagement at his prior job, and the fact that he looks like the kind of guy who would haze you for not chugging your Natty Light fast enough. But there was also this.
Officials overnight in California confirmed Donald Trump's pick for Defense Secretary, Fox News host Pete Hegseth, was in fact investigated for alleged sexual assault back in 2017. Monterey police released a statement late last night with some details about that investigation, including that the alleged victim had bruises on her thigh and that the alleged incident took place at a hotel during an overnight hours.
Trump's pick to run the Pentagon, the top guy for the job, had allegations of sexual assault against him. And like many other people that aren't spineless Republicans, this gave Joni Ernst pause on whether to confirm him or not, especially because Ernst herself was an admitted survivor of sexual assault. So Ernst voiced her concerns publicly, and then this happened.
A series of online and social media ads are also putting the pressure on Ernst. Some pop-ups feature her picture asking for signatures on a petition to confirm Trump's picks. A digital ad praises Pete Hegseth before urging viewers to call their senator.
But Pete isn't backing down. Call your senator today and urge them to confirm Pete Hegseth.
The Hill reports that the ads cost $500,000 and specifically target Iowa.
Now, in case you were wondering, that ad was paid for by an entity called Building America's Future. And if all that building they're doing is feeling a little bit dystopian, that's because the PAC's biggest contributor, to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, is Elon Musk. So the peacemaker and unifier's latest hire was totally cool with essentially saying to a U.S. senator and survivor of sexual assault, "Hey, nice Senate seat you got there. Be a real shame if something happened to it." And that's not a stretch. Around that time, Dan Bongino issued a warning to Ernst, writing, "Pete Hegseth will be just fine if you sabotage his deserved spot as Secretary of Defense. I'll hire him tomorrow without a second thought on one of the largest digital content platforms in the world, and his voice will be even more powerful. You, however, will not be fine. Your actions regarding Pete are a red line for us, and by us, I mean the millions of patriots who follow us. And we will never forget what you did. You will be the next Joe Walsh, Mitt Romney, Adam Kinzinger, or Liz Cheney. Bank on it." And the punishment for telling Joni Ernst she will not be fine he gets to be deputy director of the FBI. Trump's party tolerates zero dissent. Senator Murkowski also stated that she had concerns over Hegseth's nomination and released a lengthy, thoughtful statement detailing why. While she commended his military service as well as his advocacy for veterans, his statements about women in combat, the allegations of excessive drinking, and sexual assault demonstrated a lack of judgment for the person who is supposed to lead the armed forces. Well, this is how now Deputy Director Dan Bongino responded then. By far the most embarrassing member of the Republican Senate, this woman is a disgrace to humankind, and she's a total fraud. She has no integrity and no real skills other than pulling scams to win elections she consistently loses. This is the one seat where we're almost better off with a Democrat. Is it any wonder why Murkowski is afraid? That she fears retaliation? When you have legitimate misgivings about the prospective leader of our armed forces, the people who protect all of us, Democrat and Republican, and those misgivings are met with statements that you are a disgrace to humankind? And so, having cut their teeth with someone like Murkowski, Trump, Elon, and their entire machine then set their sights on Ernst. And whether it was due to fear or the quest to hold on to power, a woman with plenty of valid reasons to say that Hegseth was a troubling pick helped confirm an unqualified and undeserving man to lead the largest military on the planet. When the strong-arm tactics work, he wins. How about the current shell of a man and former Senator Marco Rubio? Rubio ran against Trump in 2016 for the Republican nomination, and here he is on CNN back then, talking about his now boss in no uncertain terms.
You compared Donald Trump to a third-world dictator yesterday in an interview with the New York Times. How so?
Well, I don't know about a dictator. I said a third-world strongman.
That's Rubio wanting to set the record straight. So when he gets called out for being a total hypocrite in the future, make sure you quote him correctly.
He's running for president, so no matter what, he won't be a dictator unless our republic completely crumbles, which I don't anticipate it will.
Or if there are elected officials who are so craven for attention and power that they're willing to go along with those strongmen and aid in the destruction of our democracy. Now, I happen not to be a gymnast like little Marco, and so I don't necessarily understand how someone is able to twist themselves in such a way that they could throw their full support behind a politician after saying this on national TV.
For years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump.
Unbelievable. John Cusack should be standing outside Marco Rubio's house playing that on repeat.
For years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump.
Marco Rubio knew exactly who Trump was then, and he fell in line anyway. Joni Ernst floated the idea of standing up to Trump, and when the pressure campaign came for her, she fell in line too. Senator Murkowski, reasonable people are begging you not to fall in line. There is no doubt that conservatives have the money and discipline to primary any elected senator or representative who stands in the way of their agenda. To which I say, so the fuck what? Why are you in Congress or the Senate? To show your constituents that your duty to your country can be superseded by the strongman tactics of a guy who loves when his supporters threaten you online? What kind of a political party do you belong to that co-signs all of the actions that make you feel afraid? What kind of political party forces sexual assault survivors to be forced to confirm alleged sexual abusers to cabinet-level positions? Is the gig really that awesome to tie your political fortunes to this guy? Look, by standing up to Trump, the worst political fate that you'll suffer is losing an election. And if you need another job, there's always birthday clown. At least you'll get some free cake. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.